What's happening, family? How y'all doing today, man? Hopefully y'all having a beautiful day, man. Everything is going like it's supposed to, fitting together perfectly, man. The sun is shining just as bright as it's supposed to be. You feel me? And even if it ain't, man, you know it's always darkest before the dawn. So that sun will rise in the morning. Don't even worry about it, you feel me? Tough times only strengthen you. You hear me? On the cool. But we got a bunch to talk about. This YNW Melly case, man, hey, it's been crazy, hasn't it? For the better part of a half a decade, it's been one of the more wild things, you feel me? But before we get started, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell icon, and turn post notifications on all. Y'all already know how we do it over here, family. Wipe your feet as you come in the door. Now, I know it's been a little second, man, and I ain't been uploading like I normally do. So, I know y'all probably miss me, but never do that, because I never left. Y'all know I'm always pop back in and rock out with my peoples. Like I said, man, it's been a bunch of craziness going on with this YNW Melly case. And for the ones who speak the language of the courtroom, you can see that the prosecution doesn't really have much to pinpoint this man as the one who pulled the trigger. I know, shocking, right? You got all these people online talking about YNW Melly is done. Well, that's because they have never been through trial. A murder case is probably the easiest case to beat because the evidence has to be without a doubt. And up until this point, we have yet to see any evidence that has stated without a doubt YNW Melly is the shooter. That's all I'm saying. But you know, whenever you have that black skin, you are not in. The laws get pretty loose. The standards that the courtroom are supposed to hold don't really apply to you, especially whenever you're rich, famous, and black. You're guilty until proven innocent, sadly enough.
Social media posts about this drive-through, this shooting. And Mr. Demmons responds very succinctly, "I did that." Shh. Ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of the evidence,
the state is confident that you will find the defendant guilty as charged of the first-degree murder of Christopher Thomas and Anthony Williams. Thank you.
You see how speculative that is? She literally just said, to give y'all more context, that someone hit him up because of the social media post that was pouring in about him having something to do with the deaths of his two partners, right? And he responded to the guy and said, "I did that." Shh. But to sweeten the pot and paint the narrative even more, she explained context by using an analogy. If you're saying your floor is coated at Google, that's a good thing. But if you say your whole floor is coated at a hospital, that's a bad thing. That was a tactic to sweeten the pot and paint the narrative that the man was admitting to guilt. Me personally, I took it as someone asking him was he okay because of everything that was going on, so he felt like that person already convicted him. So he responded, "I did that. If you believe I did that, I did that." Y'all remember the Eminem song, "I am whatever you say I am, and if I wasn't, then why would you say?" That type of time, that's what he was on. That's what I took as that. But she tried to paint the narrative that that was not the case because she knew most people would think of it as, he's just saying if you said I did that, then I did that. You feel me? But we're going to come back to that. Now, during the course of this case, man, you had the Law and Order channel covering it all, right? And there was a couple of celebrity names that was brought up. And one in particular was Boosie. And the fact that Boosie has been standing behind YNW Melly the entire time throughout this case. And also giving Mr. Demons, man, that's a crazy last name to have, access to his legal team.
Are there any celebrities or famous faces in attendance in that courtroom today? Oh, you got a big smile on your face, Bryce and Paul.
Actually, yes. Boosie, or Lil Boosie, the artist from Louisiana, came to support. Him and Melly have a history, and Boosie actually gave him the defense information for his murder case.
Check it. I want to know how many of y'all really caught the play that was going on right there, right? Because it was a play going on right in front of your eyes. They was running some games, some high-level chess moves, right? Y'all got to see what was going on. She came on and she said, was there any celebrities in the building? Why is that important? She already knew the answer, but why was that important? Now, he responded cheerfully as if he had love for Boosie. They used the black man for a reason, because the black man can, connect to that black audience and throw them off from what is being played here, right? What were his next words? Boosie and YNW Melly were pretty much close, somewhere along those lines. And Boosie, the most important part, gave YNW Melly his contact information for his legal team, for his defense team, right? So in other words, what they are trying to paint out, what the picture, the big portrait is that one murderer, because even though Boosie beat that murder case, he's looked at still as a cold-blooded killer, allegedly, right? That's what the media projects him as. That's what the populace sees him as. So the murderer who slipped between the cracks, beat the case and got away, is giving his legal team to a new alleged murderer who is standing trial. So they're trying to discredit YNW Melly's legal team by saying that these murderers, these rapper murderers, are in cahoots with each other, and they are trying to help each other beat the system and beat the case. That is what they are trying to put off on the public. Got to pay attention to these people, man, because they move swiftly and coldly. The Law and Order channel, man, they are in cahoots with the court system. They don't care about none of these rappers. They trying to help the court system win this case. That's what they are on. And you can tell by the next questions. She went on to ask about the victims' families and how they felt seeing YNW Melly, really trying to get the people to feel for the victims and convict YNW Melly based off the evidence that the prosecutor is about to present.
Wow. So now we know about that. Now let's get a little bit closer. What about the victim's family? Are they in the court? And if so, have they been reacting to not just seeing Melly in the courtroom, but seeing the opening statements and the testimony?
They've been very inconsolable, I would say, as the trial kicked off, and even just as different testimonies were being given, even in the opening statement from the prosecution. Once the names of the two victims were mentioned, even with them just being called brothers, best friends, or whatnot, the families of the victims would be inconsolable and often have to walk out.
It's always hard for families of the victims if the defendant, no matter who's on trial, whether he's innocent or whether he's guilty. But speaking about the defendant, was his family there? And if they were there, can you tell us about their reaction to day one of the trial, Bryson?
Actually, yes. All his mother, brother, grandparents, all of them were in attendance, and they all were as calm as he was, I would say.
Wow, very interesting, because that must have been something that the attorney must have told them to remain calm.
Now, do y'all see what I'm trying to say? Y'all see what I'm trying to point out to y'all? You mentioned the family because, one, that will make the people feel sympathy for them. Makes the people sad. Makes them feel like, man, hey, they need justice, right? Then you point out the fact that they were like brothers. And then you say the family put their heads down whenever they mentioned that YNW Melly and the victims were like brothers. They were friends. So if the family believes that YNW Melly did it, then everyone should believe it. Because the family, once again, they were like brothers, most definitely should know YNW Melly if they were like brothers. And if they don't have a doubt in their minds, neither should you. And that is what they are trying to portray by mentioning that. Then they go on to mention YNW Melly's family, to offset it. But it was really just to speak on the fact that YNW Melly family was so comfortable. They were so comfortable, as if to say YNW Melly is a cold-blooded killer. His mother, his family, they raised cold-blooded killers. The brother, he's a future cold-blooded killer. That's their upbringing. That is what they're trying to portray. They're comfortable in court. They don't show remorse. They don't seem sad. They don't seem like they're not guilty. They seem very guilty with how comfortable they are. This is what they do. That's the image they're trying to portray. And also, just to go ahead and jab at that legal team again and point out the fact that that legal team already got one murderer off. Maybe the legal team told them to do it. They got Boosie off, right? Pay attention to these people, man, because they play a cold game. But that wasn't the only celebrity that they mentioned. Once again, Frederick Givens, Fredo Bang's name was brought up in this situation. Y'all go ahead and check out what they said.
So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Devins is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location to one of his friends, Frederick Givens. Frederick Givens is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Givens, then, about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin where Mr. Devins has moved a couple of meters.
What do you know? They mentioned the other Louisiana rapper who was picked up on second-degree murder charges, weapons charges, and stuff like that. And it's also Boosie's cousin. But they are trying to paint the picture that these are all murderers who were in cahoots, allegedly, who helped each other get off. You see that? But what Fredo did is something that a lot of y'all need to take notes to. And we touched on this last year, but just to refresh in y'all memories, Fredo got his lawyers, and he stated this: I am representing Mr. Givens in the state of Florida versus Jamel Demons. Fredo's attorney, D'Amica Davis, told XXL in a statement, I represented Mr. Givens in the capacity of him being a witness. He has not been charged with any crime by the state of Florida. Mr. Givens has exercised his right to remain silent, and the court ultimately granted Mr. Givens his request. Mr. Givens does not intend to cooperate with the prosecution of this case, but Mr. Givens will fully comply with the law, both state and federal law. We do wish Jamel Demons all the best, and we are hoping for a fair and impartial outcome and resolution of this case. As y'all see, don't get mixed up with what the lawyer is saying. The lawyer is saying exactly what the lawyer is supposed to say, that he would cooperate with all state and legal and federal and all that. I'm sure Fredo didn't say that. He probably didn't even know to say that. That's just the lawyer throwing the sweetener on there saying, look, our name, he might have called us whatever, he might not have. We're not going to speak on it. We got the right to remain silent. We don't have any charges here. We don't have no reason to speak to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Fredo did exactly what he was supposed to do, not reach out to any the law enforcement, the prosecutor, or anything to speak to them personally. He reached out to his lawyer like he was supposed to and allowed his lawyer to create something for him to not be involved in this. Though the prosecutor is angry that they could not get him. That's how you get the prosecutor. Get your lawyer. That's all you got to do. Plead the fifth, get your lawyer. That is going to upset any prosecutor, man. Don't let them beat you and play you in these games. But Fredo also went on to Vlad TV to speak on this situation. While he was in his interview, Vlad TV did his camera cut over to that lawyer, the internet lawyer who speaks on all the cases that go on. Well, he pretty much gave us more context to what exactly was going on.
I have gotten advice from my attorney, and in the course of me answering your questions, I would have to disclose advice that my attorney gave me. And that's privileged information. So because I have that privilege, you can't make me answer these questions. The prosecutors challenged that, and they said, no, you answering whether or not Melly called you is not privileged. Just because you talk to your lawyer about it doesn't mean that you can't tell us about it. That would be ridiculous. That would mean you can go and tell your lawyer anything and say, oh, I can't tell you, I told my lawyer. We've offered him full immunity, so he can say whatever he wants and we won't charge him. But then Fredo Bang's lawyers came back and said, yeah, but this is just the Miramar department. What about Broward County? What about other states? What about the feds? And so unless you're telling me that this guy has freaking global immunity, his Fifth Amendment right applies. The judge agreed with that. And Fredo Bang has invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not testify, to avoid giving statements that could be used against him and that would incriminate himself.
And after that, Fredo goes on to give his side of what was going on from his point of view, and pretty much let it be known that he did not believe that they would be done messing with him. And he was most certainly right, because as we see right now, they are bringing his name up in the trial.
What I can say, I don't know what's going on with their situation. I don't know who said it, putting me into it, but I just, had to get my lawyer and defuse whatever they thinking or something, you know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, I expect them they probably gonna keep bothering me, because at the end of the day, it's still active, you know what I'm saying? It's still trial, so they want to push and squeeze anybody they can who they think got something going on or think could be involved to where like they can get some information. So I expect them, being that we friends, I expect them to bother me. You feel me? So that's just what it is.
The way that man handled that was straight up, flat out, textbook, and exactly how y'all supposed to do it. Too many of y'all act like that is highly complicated. It is not. I promise you. Just give your lawyer something to work with. Tell them you want a lawyer. Plead the fifth. Exercise your right to remain silent. He did it beautifully on a coup, and he protected everybody involved. Himself, YNW Melly, his peoples, your peoples, his name, everybody's name, and that's how you supposed to do it, man. That was 100% solid, and that man deserves a lot of respect for that. You feel me? But on the cool, man, that was not it as far as this case. There is something else that I wanted to point out, and it is what the prosecution was saying, what the prosecutor was saying throughout the course of this, pertaining towards cell phones. And honestly, man, like I've been telling y'all time and time again, man, these cell phones, this technology, the social media, it will be, and currently is, the downfall of the streets and any street activity, like she referred to them in this trial. Electronic leashes, cell phones. That is the basis of their entire case. It's his cell phone, where he was at, how many steps he took, the health, stuff like that, man. It's just crazy how they put this story together based off of his cell phones alone. Listen.
But the interesting thing about that is that doesn't happen on October 26th of 2018. This happens on November 21st, almost a month later. Because that's when law enforcement gets the reliable cell phone tracking data that they use to determine that's the area that they need to be searching. Because at that location is where the cell phones of Christopher Thomas, Anthony Williams, and Jamel Demmons all line up at 4:02 a.m. At that point, afterwards, Mr. Demmons' phone tracks with the two victims until about 4:20. So 15 minutes before Portland Henry takes the victims to the hospital. During those path again looking for trace evidence, such as firearms. They didn't find it. But you're also going to hear that Jamel Demmons on the side of the road made a FaceTime video chat. At that point, he starts setting up the story. He FaceTimes his girlfriend at the time, Mariah Hamilton. Mariah Hamilton gets the phone call and screams, waking up her mother, Felicia Holmes. Felicia Holmes also sees the defendant, Jamel Demmons, on that FaceTime video call. And you're going to learn, ladies and gentlemen, that that's a data event on a cell phone. That it's not a call for the purposes of the cell phone companies. It's using data, accessing the internet. Felicia Holmes and Mariah Hamilton see Jamel Demmons outside, and he is saying he's just been involved in a drive-by, and he thinks Anthony Williams and Chris Thomas are dead. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone calls, accessing the internet. They have health data. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to find and hear and be able to see the videos at the recording studio and see Mr. Demmons taking steps. Lo and behold, look at the health activity data, a pedometer, a step counter, that's what it is. 70 steps. Then you're going to see at 4:02 a.m. another 70 steps. Then at 4:42, the time frame in which he's sending that drop pin, to 4:53 a.m., you're going to see 1,397 steps. You will see this data showing the defendant had the phone and was using it. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I have to prove is the defendant committed the crime. And to do that, the state intends to show the evidence that the phone was there at the murder scene, and there were no other phones there. There is no one else out there at 4 in the morning. So to do that, the state has to convince each and every one of you that this was the phone of the defendant. You'll see in the messages and the contents of those messages him identifying himself. This is Melly, giving out that phone number to multiple people as being his phone number. 772-713-9807. And to further prove that, the state is going to show you the Instagram, the Facebook, the Snapchat. Because contrary to popular belief, Snapchat doesn't disappear. And detectives were able to write a search warrant and get contents of Snapchat. And there are things that are there, and there are things that are not. And so, ladies and gentlemen, specifically, the Instagram, the defendant, during the course of the months of October of 2018 through December of 2018, gives out his phone number 15 times. Says, "This is me," and all during the same time frame of October 26th of 2018.
So y'all see, this entire case was built off of him having his cell phone. So those cell phones, man, those are the downfall of the streets. And I'm not saying do your dirt and leave your cell phone at home. I'm saying just don't do it at all. You feel me? But at the end of the day, this is speculation, and it can't stick without a doubt, because you cannot prove that there was no one else out there. The way that you're trying to prove that, the prosecution is off of saying there's not another cell phone out there, and it ties everything that I'm saying in together, because not everyone has a cell phone. I know plenty of people who don't have one. And on the flip, there's a lot of people who understand when you do dirt, you leave your phone at home. You don't want your phone pinging off all of different towers, following you and stuff like that, man. So based off of the evidence that has been presented to us so far, there is no way you can convict this man. Absolutely no way. So in my personal opinion, unless something drastic happens, Melly will walk away.